you know that Morgana dances at 121 beats per minute? Makes her the top cat.
I think we need a cat fight over this, mate.
You're not surprised.
Hey guys, and welcome to our brand new podcast, Fighting Talk. So, this is going to be a podcast. It's going to be quite simple. Unless that's got 6 pages of notes
Simple?
here.
5 hours worth of research is simple.
Is that all you did? Christ, mate. You need
Well, we have to downplay it a little bit.
Okay. So, what we are doing in this podcast is we are pitting 2 characters from any form of franchise against each other in a theoretical combat situation. What's going to happen then is one of us are going to discuss on why we think a certain character is going to win said fight.
I could almost say it's a near-death battle.
Before you think Steve sat there for no reason, Steve is here because he is the unbiased judge.
Harry and Jordan will be presenting their research to me and conclude why they believe their character will succeed in victorious.
Victorious.
Yes.
We're all after that victory royale.
God's sake. So today, if you haven't guessed by the cat ears and the badge which you've put on sideways, today we are doing Blake Belladonna versus Morgana from Persona 5.
No second name.
So, are we ready to begin, Judge?
Yes. Jordan,
How do I
introduce Morgana to us.
Well, Morgana is everyone's favourite alarm clock. She is a phantom thief. She actually was one of the founding members of the Phantom Thieves. He is a cat. I'll get onto that in a second. Technically a shadow, but we don't spoil things. Basically, Morgana is Joker's, or the main character's, companion in Persona 5. Mostly not one of the mascot characters, which is quite seen throughout Persona. Like you've got Teddy from Persona 4. Morgana is she's more of the magician arcana, and her main persona is Zorro, mostly because he comes across as quite a strong bravado man's man, as shown by like his crush on Lady Anne, and that he wants to be like the suave man in fact, as that is his sign of rebellion. Also not a cat.
Okay, so Harry, introduce Blake to us.
I shall. So, my character is called Blake Belladonna. She is from RWBY, and she is the B in Team RWBY. So Blake was born into an activist group known as the White Fang, which all petition for faunus rights. Because of this, she's a very independent fighter. She knows what she's doing on the battlefield, and her skill set does show this. She's also became familiar with one of the leaders of the White Fang, or soon-to-be leaders of the White Fang, called Adam. This drove her down a relatively dark path, but she escaped from that, hence how she goes to Beacon and meets RWBY, Weiss, and Yang. And that's where her story continues.
Right, okay. So, Jordan, what is Morgana's weapons arsenal / fighting style?
Morgana's main weapon, her main starting thing, is a bandit sword, which is also quite a broadsword, a scimitar, which is a sword that comes from a railway with a curved edge. In Persona 5, Morgana's bandit sword has a 94% accuracy rate, and also, so that's her melee weapon, and her ranged weapon, the pachinko, which is basically a slingshot, has 5 rounds per game, also a 90% accuracy rate. As for powers go, as every character in Persona 5, she can summon her persona. His persona is Zorro, and Zorro has a very strong wind attacks as well as healing things, which can also be done for group attacks and single attacks.
So, Harry, can you talk about Blake's weapons arsenal and fighting style?
So Blake's primary form of attack it's a katana, mixed with a pistol, a bladed sheath, and a weapon known as a kusarigama. This is known as the Gambol Shroud. So Blake will mostly use the katana and the sheath in close range melee combat, but she is still accurate and effective at longer range thanks to the pistol and kusarigama. Blake will use the pistol to harass at range, while being very accurate as well, the kusarigama to close distance, and the katana and bladed sheath to engage in fast and agile melee combat. She can also use the weapon forms in conjunction as well. When using the kusarigama, Blake can also fire the pistol. which increases the velocity of the weapon, making it hit harder and faster. She can also use the Gamble Shroud to create waves of energy. She does this by expelling her aura through the blade, and she is also incredibly good at escaping from combat using her semblance, which I will explain right now. So semblance, for those who don't know RWBY, is effectively like a power that every character in RWBY has. Blake's power is known as shadow clones. This allows her to quite literally create clones of herself in different ways. She mostly uses these clones to evade attacks and escape dangerous situations, but she can also keep clones active until attacked in order to distract opponents. While using her clones, she can also propel herself in different directions while doing so, and they are seemingly unaffected by the condition Blake is in. However, she can only use her semblance if she has aura remaining. So, all huntsmen and huntresses have access to aura, and Blake is no different. It acts as a personal shield against all form of damage, basically making it impossible to kill somebody once it's activated. It also has the power to heal wounds that the user sustains. Aura does have a limit, and it can be broken if it sustains enough damage, and it also doesn't protect against pain caused from attacks. Also, aura must be activated cognitively by the user. Blake also has access to something known as dust. These are elementally infused crystals which can change the types of attacks she can use. She can change the bullets in the Gamble Shroud and also affect her clones. The dust that Blake uses is earth, ice and fire. The earth shadow can create, can basically create a giant stone, which is really good at stopping attacks. The ice shadow can temporarily trap opponents' weapons, opening them up for more attacks, and she can also use ice bullets in order to freeze things. She can also infuse her shadows with fire, which explode after a short amount of time or when hit, and also she can infuse the fire dust with her bullets to set things on fire. And finally, she has her natural abilities known as faunus traits. Due to Blake's faunus heritage, she has cat ears as well as her normal ones, meaning her hearing is greatly improved over that of a normal human. Plus, according to Blake herself, faunus have the ability to see in the dark. And that's Blake's inventory, guys.
Okay. Jordan, what is Morgana's notable feats / strengths?
One of Morgana's main strengths is her intelligence. As for one, she taught Joker everything she knows about being a phantom thief, as well as crafting various infiltration tools. She is also very skilled at being a swordsman and marksman, as shown with the 94% and 90% hit accuracy. One of Morgana's powers is she can turn into a van. She can easily tear down walls when in cat form. Van form, this can be quite effective because it means that he can go the top speed of a van. So it'll be like at least 120 miles per hour. On top of that, Morgana was also able to damage all palace bosses and Yaldabaoth. Something that also plays into her advantage is her size. Morgana is only 50 centimetres tall, so that improves her agility and also makes it easier for her to dodge things such as bullets from maybe say a Gamble Shroud. And also she has strong healing abilities as well. Like she can heal herself, okay, it maybe turns once per thing, but she can heal herself if needs be. Another thing, at the end of Persona 5,
Right.
or at the end of the palaces in Persona 5,
Right, yeah.
once they've stolen the treasure, they have to escape before it closes in on them.
Okay.
For instance, at the end in Shido's boss fight,
Right.
the ship goes down and they have to escape, otherwise they're trapped in the palace, or in one of the other big palaces, a pyramid collapses around them. Morgana is also available to evade all of these closing down.
Okay.
Also, she can also dodge Yaldabaoth's Arrows of Light, which is a very strong attack by one of the final bosses in the game, and can actually take multiple hits from Razor Control.
Right.
Offended.
So, Harry, can you tell me Blake's notable feats and strengths?
Blake is one of the most agile characters in the whole of RWBY. Even without help from her weapons or semblance, Blake can perform multiple backflips on the ground and even leap into the air. Plus, in Volume 2, Blake has been shown to leap between buildings with ease and even able to jump between moving vehicles without much worry. Then in Volume 6, she was able to easily maneuver through the forest canopy while fighting Adam. Furthermore, when Blake uses Gamble's Shroud, she can perform even more agile feats, such as in Volume 1, Blake uses her semblance and Gamble's Shroud to escape from a collapsing bridge, during which she runs up a vertical piece of debris. She has insane reflexes. Blake's reaction time is far above that of a regular human. Whether it be down to training or Fauna's heritage is unclear, but Blake is fast enough to deflect machine gun fire from Elysian Knights. So, bullets are fired at an average speed of 1,700 miles per hour. Now, considering the length of the freight car that Blake is in, which is around 17 meters, and Blake is in the middle of said freight car, so it makes her about 8 meters away from the firing point. For Blake to deflect a bullet travelling at 17,000 miles per hour while 8 meters away means her reaction speed would be, at the very least, 0.1 seconds. And it is very likely higher than this, because these numbers are taken from max distance away, and she continues to get closer as the gun fires. In combat, she is very smart, and has been known to outsmart and counter traps and problems presented to her in combat. In Volume 2, Blake easily defeated Torchwick by luring him into vulnerable situations using dust. In Volume 3, she used a Shadow Globe to distract and bring out Rhys Caloris in the Vital Festival. In Volume 5, she used Ice Dust to freeze Ilya's whip, and used Fire Dust to light up a dark room, removing Ilya's stealth advantage. Blake has used the Gamble Shroud to cut through some insane things, such as train couplings at Elysian Knights, and even cut through the Elysian Paladin in Volume 2. Now let's take a look at the train coupling feat. It's likely that it will be a knuckle coupling on the train, and that it is made out of A36 steel. In order for Blake to cut through this, she would need to be exerting at least 7 tons of force to pull this off, and that's on the low end. Alright, now here's the biggie. Blake has survived a train crash without her aura breaking, and immediately began fighting hordes of Grimm immediately after the train crash. If you take a look at the train, it is clearly a very large freight train carrying at the very least 25 carriages. Taking a look at the size of the train itself, it probably weighs around 170 tons. With at least 25 cars on top of that, it is likely the whole train weighs 1,420 tons. Now, Torchwick's goal is to crash the train into Vale, so saying that the train is moving at full speed is not a stretch. This would be around 90 miles per hour. So using the equation F equals ma, because I'm smart, no equations, and also Google helps, it means that the train crashed at a force of 234,000 tons. And Blake quite literally got up and began fighting Grimm with no real worries just a few minutes after night. This infers that Blake's aura is incredibly strong, and she has overcome pain, injury, and fatigue to protect people despite the current situation.
Okay, Jordan, what are Morgana's weaknesses?
One of Morgana's main weaknesses, while she can do these amazing healing properties and high wind attacks, seem a little bit less what they call stamina points in the game, so she can use it a little bit less than the other Phantom Thieves, which can mean she can still do the feats, or like the skills, but she cannot do it forever. Another one, she is also built more of a team fighter than a solo player herself.
Okay.
Like a lot of her skills are not beneficial for her. She's got some that are still beneficial for her, but not all of them are as strong for herself. She is quite vulnerable to electricity.
Okay.
That is her like weakness in the game. Partway through the game, at the end of Palace 4, but the beginning of Palace 5, Morgana runs away from the Phantom Thieves.
Okay.
Like runs away because she doesn't feel wanted. And
Right.
in this spaceport, which is the next palace, she is taken down with ease.
By who?
Like the general enemies of the game, like the shadows.
Is that it?
That is it.
Okay. So Harry, can you tell us Blake's weaknesses?
So, Blake is not perfect in combat, pun intended, and tends to rely on assistance from allies instead of holding her own, despite often engaging in 1v1 fights. She was arguably defeated by the spider drone in the Black trailer. or a better way of saying that is she could not have defeated it. She lost against Adam in Volume 3, and arguably would have been killed by Adam in Volume 6 without Yen's help. Blake's combat prowess is heavily influenced by her emotions. If she's overcome by fear or despair, she can perform badly, leading to others being disarmed. So for example, in Volume 2, she became obsessed with finding Torchwood, which led to her becoming incredibly exhausted. And in Volume 3, Adam may have killed her, mostly because she was overcome by fear and did not perform very well. Blake's aura is as much a positive as it is a negative, because Blake's aura may protect her from being killed or injured, but if it is broken, or she herself does not activate it, then she can become vulnerable to everything, and also cannot use her semblance. And they're Blake's weaknesses.
So, now it's time to get on to the fighting talk.
Anything you want to start with, Steve?
Yes. First, I want to start with the close combat for Morgana. You said she has a 94% accuracy. Do we have a rough accuracy for Blake?
From immediate memory, I don't recall her ever missing certain hits. I only remember her hits being blocked by other characters. So I would say she's either on par or probably better, especially considering the fact that it is I would say it's super obvious that Blake is faster than Morgana, and just because of that fact she's a lot more accurate. You would think it would be less accurate. What?
Objection, that's
No.
your opinion.
That is my opinion, it may not be exactly a fact, however. The fact that she can deflect a gunfighter implies that she is incredibly fast at reacting to things. So she can use said speed in order to pull an advantage.
But Morgana can block an arrow of light, right?
Mm-hmm. How fast is that?
The speed of light.
Do you have proof of that?
That was actually something I was going to bring up.
You didn't say block, you said
Evade. I didn't mean block, I meant evade. I apologise.
Evade is slightly less than block, because evade is easy to move. It's easy to move than it would happen.
Yeah, I agree.
So fair enough. And also, you could argue that every single Phantom Thief can dodge an arrow of light, because that's a gameplay mechanic, not something that's canon.
But we are not talking about the Phantom Thieves, we are still talking about Morgana.
So are you saying that all the Phantom Thieves scale to Morgana now?
Morgana can still block an arrow of... Not block, evade an arrow of light.
Okay.
And it's still in the game. Even if it's everything in the game is still technically canon. Good job, Atlas.
Good job, Atlas. Alright, fair enough.
Okay.
So that would at least put Blake and Morgana on par with speed.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I will take that. I don't really have a major argument. All I can say in terms of an air quote argument is, yes, Morgana can dodge an arrow of light, but she never shows this anywhere else. Like, there is no real feat of speed from Morgana despite this. This is the only...
How can Blake block a train crash but still get stabbed by Adam?
Emotions. As I said, as part of her weaknesses,
Yeah.
it's all down to emotions. She doesn't block a train crash, she just survives
She
it.
survives a train crash.
Mhm.
But surely, as you said, that feat, I forgot how many tons of force it was?
234,000.
Yeah.
Yet she can't block a goat man stabbing her.
That is true. However, that is mostly down to emotionals. Emotionals? Plus, we have seen Adam do some insanely fast things, to the point where even he can also block bullets as well, and has blocked faster strikes as well. So saying that Blake is slower than Adam, especially on the quick draw, is, I would say, viable. But that does mean that Blake may be slower than Adam in terms of reactionary speed, but she's still faster everywhere else. Like, she, as you've seen, she can jump across cars like it's no big deal. If we tried doing that, we would die.
God damn it.
And I'm also pretty certain, Morgana can turn into a van, but I'm pretty sure it can't jump across vans because we've never seen it. Or Venom.
I mean, apart from jumping off the ship and selling the fan.
In van form, because I'm interested in more van form, how much, like, can it travel, like, if it's speeding at top speed and then jumping across. Is that what happened?
No, he just jumped in cat form.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't
Jump in
jump.
cat
He
Oh,
doesn't jump across anything. He just jumps off. That's not really much
okay.
of a feat. Like, all he does is jump off a cruise ship. Anyone can do that.
But in van form, you say broke down a wall.
Yes.
Okay. Can we
Walls.
elaborate more about this breaking down the walls?
Basically, he drives through walls.
All walls unaffected.
Yeah, like when he's escaping Palace.
No, he doesn't drive through all walls. The only example of this is in Mementos. He can only break down weaker walls. Granted, it's still concrete, I'll give you that. But they are not incredibly sound in terms of structure. But is it 234,000 tons of force? I don't think so. Plus, I have a lot to say on the Mobile.
Oh,
Mm. Are you ready for this paragraph? Steve, are you ready for this crap? Alright, so I have devised that the Monomobile would be completely useless against Blake. For the sole reason of, when Morgana turns into a man, unless you have proof of otherwise, it's very unclear if his skin turns into metal. Does it? Unclear. So therefore, it's hard to tell. But even if this does happen, Blake has applied 7 tons of force and managed to cut through a train car. Well, the coupling of a train car, right? That is more than enough force to cut through a car, alright? Especially sheet metal of a van. It's a pretty pointless van. So therefore, there's no way Mona can survive that.
Objection.
What?
You're taking that as that the van is stationary when Blake is cutting it, not that the van's moving. If the van is moving at top speed of 100, you've got all of that force on top of the 7 tons needed for the gamble shroud.
Fair enough. However, without real, super numbers, I don't really know how to really take that. I mean, okay, you've got top speed. Plus, she doesn't necessarily need to cut through it, she can just avoid it. Because, okay, the van can move at, 110 miles an hour top speed?
Roughly that. Yeah.
She's blocked a bullet travelling at 1,700 from 8 metres away. That's nothing. She can react faster than that, and yeah, there's no way she can do that. Also, I would just like to point out, it's very unclear how effective Mona is in van form without someone driving her. So therefore, Mona without a driver, the effectiveness, you have to admit, is decreased by quite a margin. You cannot disagree with that.
Yeah, I agree with
And
that.
it has also been shown that the Monomobile can be damaged by basic shadows and also can crash. And both of these are with a driver. It's less effective. Surely it's less effective without one.
When you say damage, when you load into the fight, I know what you mean. When you're in Mementos and get startled,
Well, bang.
bang,
You get knocked onto the ground.
get knocked. But is there any actual physical sign of damage? Like when Morgana jumps into the game, it says she's got 10% less damage.
Shit. Alright. I'll give you that one. That's a good point by the defense. But, despite that fact, when Morgana crashes in van form, he immediately turns into cat form. So therefore, again, just makes the Monomobile useless. Because there's no way Mona can do anything in the Monomobile without Blake either A, countering it, and being able to turn him straight back into cat form, or B, there's no real reason as to why Mona would even bother using the thing. Plus, one final thing, it is never shown in Persona 5 that Mona can use anything to do with his persona while in van form.
Yeah.
Making anything he does in van form, with anything he can do with Zorro, within van form, absolutely useless.
Okay.
I don't want to 10 pages.
Wow!
Monomobile, useless.
Okay.
Blake has a counter to all of it.
So something you brought up a few times that I want to just elaborate a bit more on, and that is Blake's reaction to the bullets.
Yep.
How exactly is she stopping the bullets?
Right, the bullet's coming towards her. She blocks it with the Gamble Shroud, with the katana version, and she basically moves the sword in the way of into the path of the bullet to knock it away from her. So it would hit the Gamble Shroud and go off over there.
Okay,
Basically,
she's not-
it's black bullets.
How you would block a bullet, basically. So she's
So
going
she-
tink and it's going whoosh. And this is a machine gun, by the way. So she's blocking it incredibly quickly and moving towards at the same time.
So the bullets aren't actually just being stopped, they're just being deflected.
Yes. What I would like to quickly point out about that isn't a feat of strength. It is a feat of reaction speed.
Yeah.
So if she was to literally stop a bullet, that takes a lot of effort. But she's not stopping it, she's blocking it, she's basically knocking it away. She doesn't need to stop it, because she's too quick. So you can just be like, no. What I also want to point out, since you brought up ranged weapons, right, you mentioned Morgana has a slingshot, correct?
Correct.
How fast does it shoot?
I've never seen.
It's never really, you could maybe work it out with a bit of research. However, Blake can react to a bullet from 8 meters away, meaning it is all but undeniable that she can react to a slingshot, which is clearly slower than a bullet. So all of Mona's ranged options outside of using Zorro are pointless. When?
Now, when Mona has been attacking whoever, were attackers her size, bigger, or huge? Humans, like her size, human size, bigger.
To say that Morgana is 50 centimetres,
Yes.
which is about that,
Yes, I know how big 50 centimetres is,
they
yes.
scale massively. Like at one point, they literally fight the god of control,
Okay.
which make us look like that to them.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
Morgana
okay.
can damage them.
And Morgana can damage them. Okay, that is
And-
very
hold it.
interesting.
Morgana isn't the one to damage them, it is the sword. I would just like to point that out. It's not Mona going, meh, it's Mona going, meh, which is a slight difference.
Objection, it could also be Zorro, which is her persona, using wind attacks.
One problem with that,
Go on.
she doesn't have Zorro at that point, she has an upgraded persona, Mercurius.
Who says we're talking about Yaldabaoth?
You just did.
I said use that as an example.
You did use that as an example. She uses Zorro, if I remember correctly, up to the final palace.
Yes.
So therefore, any persona feat after that is irrelevant because we're not taking Mercurius into account, we're only using Zorro. So yeah, Mona herself might be able to hurt Yaldabaoth, but Zorro, there's no evidence to show that he could.
But Zorro can also damage the other palace bosses. Okay, while not being as big
They're
as
not the god of
they're
control,
not the god of
they're just
control,
a big shadow.
but they are still absolutely massive.
They are massive, making them easier targets, making her accuracy skill a little bit less. Because if she's fighting people a lot bigger than her, it's pretty easy to hit.
Take into account Madarame. Okay, they're bigger, but Madarame is a collection of multiple paintings,
True.
which all moving is still harder to hit.
Okay,
Alright,
so
what
this
next?
This one's for both of
This
you.
is heated!
Okay, what is the extent we have seen from either party of their healing ability?
Blake
Like-
herself has never been shown to be healed by her aura. However, aura is practically the same through every RWBY character. Like, it's the properties of what it does is the same for every character. The only difference is the semblance. So we have seen people being healed by some somewhat insane stuff by aura. Blake can do this. Okay, Weiss was healed from a fatal injury with the help of John, but we've seen aura heal wounds. And pretty quickly as well. So she can heal pretty well.
Yeah.
Not perfect, but pretty well
Okay.
over time.
Morgana, because she has a specific move, can basically heal from any. As long as the wound is not, she is not dead, she can heal from it.
Is that a conscious thing that has to happen though?
It's the same way as she has to choose and summon Zorro to do it.
There is one thing I will also point out though, about aura and everything. Yeah, you've basically confirmed that Mona is probably faster in terms of maybe general reaction speed to Blake. However, Mona has not been shown to output anything that even remotely rivals the train crash.
Apart from the gods of the ray of control.
No, that's her taking damage and surviving it. That's not her dishing it out.
Oh, you mean dishing.
So I don't see any form of evidence that shows that Mona could even remotely break Blake's aura.
Not in one hit, no.
Definitely not in one hit. And I seriously, I don't think the fight would last long enough. Because I don't see Mona landing any form of killing blow. I see Blake being fast enough to counter everything Mona can throw at her. And I just don't see Mona doing anything severe to Blake or even remotely breaking her aura, meaning it's impossible for her to kill her.
Objection.
Alright.
One of your main arguments for the entire thing has been speed and reaction time and agility. Would you agree with its agility?
And somewhat strength, you can put in a little bit.
And strength, but let's talk about agility. Morgana has a move unlocked at Arcana level 55 that lets her debuff any agility of the opposition.
It's only right. Number one, it's only a debuff, so it doesn't completely negate every single thing she can do.
Doesn't negate everything, but it puts her at a disadvantage.
It does, except if she uses her semblance, because Blake's semblance is unaffected by her chronic condition, and she can use her shadows to propel herself in any direction, just any direction. I don't need to say anymore.
Objection.
What?
The debuff goes to all enemies.
All enemies at one time. So it would only affect one shadow, if she even had a shadow remaining. She just gets rid of it, summons a new one, it's now not affected. So therefore, yeah, you can debuff Blake herself's agility, but you can't debuff the shadow's agility. You can't debuff her semblance. There's no way to do that. Unless she has shadows active, yeah, she could use a wind attack to destroy a shadow at the same time as hitting Blake.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop Blake from just using more shadows. Because there is no way to stop her from doing that unless you break her aura, which Mona can't do. Take that.
You still got
I'm pulling in a rule.
Oh no!
You said that they have no knowledge of each other. So when Blake loads her fire dust, wind is very strong against fire, which would make it weak to it. Therefore, if Blake tries to attack with the fire dust, it would also double Morgana's attack rate. If we use the idea she would get an extra turn, that means she could do 2 attacks instead of 1.
That is varying on a couple of things. Number one, if you used it against Blake's fire shadow, it wouldn't do anything. It'd just make her shadow explode.
He'd still get another attack.
That's pretty, like, you're kind of now implementing gameplay mechanics, which is really hard to do, because she gets another turn, but what exactly is another turn in a realistic setting? Which kind of negates the whole one more sort of aspect of Persona 5. Because you can't really do that in a non-turn-based scenario, because at the end of the day, this is constantly happening. She can use the thing against Blake's fire shadow, it explodes. What does that do? Nothing, except from Blake now knows, oh shit, I know not to use fire.
2 things I just want to check. So, Morgana, you said just a cat. All normal cat things then? So,
she has all the...
normal things that are normal cats?
Yeah, she has all the hearing.
Okay, so she can also see in the dark?
Basically, yes.
Okay, that's okay, just wanted to check that. You also mentioned she's a shadow? What's that?
A shadow, it's a revelation later in the game.
Right.
Spoilers!
It's alright,
But what does that mean?
She was made for her intelligence and tactics to guide the Phantom Thieves.
You went and mentioned the whole thing about fire. She may be strong towards fire, but she's not strong against it. So if Blake does use fire and manages to hit Morgana, it's still going to do all the same. So is Earth, so is Ice. Mona has no defense. Well, she has no resistance against any element that Blake can use.
It actually says wording in the game, resistant to fire.
But even if that is the case, you're negating the Earth and the Ice. She's got nothing against that. Yeah, okay. I'll be honest, it's not like she's weak against it, but it's still gonna hurt her.
Yeah.
It's still gonna do everything that Ice can do. She could just go douche, fire a couple of ice bullets, boom, she's strapped to the floor. So, you know, Mona has no form of major defense against anything elemental based that Blake can do.
Apart from, she does have a move where she can cure any status ailments against her. It sets her on fire, fine, it'll go away the next time she uses her.
She has to use the ability.
Use the ability, but we'll still use it. Same with Ice.
So what you're also saying is Blake freezes her, because she then has to effectively remove herself from the fight and her attention from her opponent in order to get herself out of it. Bang. Nothing stopping that happening now.
Okay, one thing
Take that.
I just like to about Morgana. Just a van she can turn into, nothing else.
If we're going technical, because I did not research this for nothing.
Right,
So
it's
it's not a van, it's a big car. Because a
Okay.
minivan implies that it has to fit more than 9 people.
I
No, what I
disagree.
mean is it just that? Can she not transform into anything else?
She changes her form, but I wouldn't put it in like shape shifting, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Alright, so I mean, I got one last thing I want to throw down.
Okay, go on then.
And this is nice and simply just going to undercut every single thing Jordan said. And the funniest part about it is you've already said it. So, you mentioned earlier about Morgana ran off. She ran off. She ran off because she was offended. Alright, that's not even the point. But, you also said that she got beat up by the shadows. What does that mean, Jordan?
Objection. Everybody thinks in the game that it's because she's offended. That is not the case of why she genuinely runs off.
Alright, why does she run off?
She
I don't see
runs
how this
off.
is going to help you at all.
She runs off because she's feeling that she's replaceable in the Phantom Thieves and is more scared of Futama's new ability, you know what I mean? Taking over and they're not really needing her anymore.
Yeah, no,
That is from emotions, kind of like play.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if we're taking out of that happened, she only lost because she was in an emotional state with the Phantom Thieves. There, in this universe, she wouldn't have had that. So that's why she lost on her own.
She may have lost on her own, but that still doesn't negate the fact that she was on her own. Do also recall that the shadows would have killed her. She retaliates, she goes into the palace, she fights them, they beat her. Yeah, she's not feeling great, but she would have died if that had not been the case. She's considered by the shadows themselves to not being a threat, which infers Mona did not put up much of a fight because of her emotional state, and that her combat efficiency decreases when she's on her own, which she is in this fight.
Objection. So you're saying that the shadows could have killed.
They could have easily killed her. They even say that they didn't do that because of the fact that she wasn't seen as a threat.
Does that not sound oddly familiar to Heroes and Monsters?
Adam does nearly kill Blake. The only reason he doesn't is because Yang gets involved.
Exactly.
No one gets involved with Mona. The shadows just leave her alone. Yeah, Blake is somewhat similar in that regard. However, she still does try. Like, she doesn't basically give up. Mona gives up. Mona would have been killed. He's just laid there. He's not doing anything.
Blake would have been killed. Alright, Yang stepped in. If Yang hadn't have stepped in, Blake would have been a tombstone by now. If Yang hadn't have stepped in Volume 6, Blake wouldn't have won that fight.
She may have, but chances are,
She was heavily losing.
and it's all because of emotions. Because when she's emotionally vulnerable, the fighting style is also affected. And you've pretty much just said that Mona is exactly the same. So we've almost just established that they've got the same weakness. Cool. But the fact of that point, which I want to just establish, this only happened because Mona was on his own. Blake has held her own, on her own, against strong enemies. Yeah, okay. There are certain ones where she hasn't done very well, like, oh, I don't know, a traumatizing figure from her past. These are just base level shadows. These aren't any strong enemies, these are just your basic bitches
But you
who
said
just
it
wander
yourself.
around.
Shadow Drone. Spider
The
Drone.
Spider Drone, which is a big, hulking tank, and she isn't beaten by it, she just doesn't really have a way to kill it, or is not shown to have a way to defeat it. Whereas Mona, as I've just said, would have been killed.
You say would have been killed.
Would have been killed,
How
the
do you
shadows
know
say.
she would have been killed?
Because the shadows say it.
A shadow that wants to win the fight said that she would have been killed.
A shadow knocks her out. You see her on the floor, just beaten. They say,
Me like in the final boss fight. And then they magically come back from it.
why do they magically come back from it? Is it because they have something that they wouldn't have in a 1v1 scenario? The fact that he's laughing means I'm right. Basically, what I'm getting at is the only reason Mona survives her strongest strength feat is because she is currently being empowered by the will of the whole of Japan. The entire populace of Japan are saying, get up Phantom Thieves, we need you to win. And since their powers are somewhat based off the consciousness of the collective public, they're all thinking about the Phantom Thieves. It's going to make them super fucking strong.
Yeah.
So therefore, since Mona doesn't have this in the scenario, he doesn't get any form of stronger, and chances are, wouldn't survive the rate of control without the help of the people.
But
Let's go!
But they still survived at least one ray of control, right?
An uncharged ray of control which does no form of major damage, as seen in the fight scene if you don't let it charge. Which can be achieved, because I've done it.
It can be achieved, but people do let it charge. They still let it happen.
But
So it's still plausible.
But that's all a gameplay mechanic. In the actual cutscene, well then, it is not charged. So saying that she survived a fully charged one,
She's not
isn't
dead.
technically counted.
Okay, she gets charged up afterwards, but there's no saying that she's dead after it.
Right,
Say
yeah,
that.
stop you then. Right. Okay. I just have one final question.
Okay.
And if I...
This is going to be a decider.
This will decide a few things, okay?
Beautiful notes.
Or what feat Morgana survived in terms of falling?
It's never really shown,
Or,
is it?
or being shoved to the ground or something. Impact force.
They don't really show you.
But does she? There must be a point surely where she gets impacted directly. Surely.
She can basically take one of virtually any shot, can't she?
Just
Virtually.
one.
At least.
At least
At
one.
least, because chances are,
And we're
because...
talking like final moves.
Oh yeah.
We're not
And
talking.
Mona's lowest stat is endurance, inferring that Mona has very low defense compared to the other Phantom Thieves.
Still, yeah, but
Phantom
again,
Thieves,
comparing it to the Phantom Thief, we're not comparing it to the Phantom Thief, we're comparing it to Blake.
yeah, but Blake doesn't count an endurance stat. So
Yeah,
you
but
can't
all I'm
really
saying,
take that.
endurance.
Oh, you want to test endurance? 234,000 tons of force, and Aurora's not even broken, and she's fine! Yeah!
Okay. I'm ready. I have a verdict.
One last thing.
No. So, to start with, there was quite a few grounds where they matched. They either had abilities that were very similar, so
Yeah.
those abilities nilled each other out, they were
Yeah.
practically
This
useless.
really does, it's a lot closer than I thought, to be fair.
Okay. But this is what I believe the scenario would be. If at some point the battle became close combat, to start with, no one would actually be better than the other. That the abilities to start with would balance. Hang on, I haven't finished yet.
Boy,
I said to start
This
with.
guy's the judge, leave him alone.
I am.
However, once Blake realised that the fire dust would be a bad use against Morgana, then the tables would turn. The main thing Morgana would have a problem with, Morgana only had 5 rounds, which is a little bit of a problem because we know that Blake has more than 5 rounds. Long range, this is more interesting. If they started to split apart, Morgana would easily be able to attack Blake with accuracy. However, every attack would more or less be able to be blocked with the...
Have you ever seen David and Goliath?
No, I haven't.
Between the eyes, mate.
But the nail in the coffin is actually Blake's ability to run faster than gravity. Blake was able to run up some falling debris. So, and in fact, plus with her jumping ability that you mentioned, if Blake could get close enough with Gamble's Shroud, with its ability as a... what was it you called it?
Kusarigama.
Yeah, that one. And was able to wrap it around Morgana and take her upwards and throw her down, Morgana would struggle to survive that. Her best way she'd probably do it would be transforming herself into Van form if possible.
Just heal herself.
And yes, she would have a healing ability. Obviously, she has the healing ability. However, that attack could probably done more than once if necessary. And the healing ability of Morgana runs out quicker than the healing ability of Blake's. Plus the fact that you even said that a general enemy beat Morgana. So Blake
Yes.
would be victorious.
Yeah! Oh, yeah, good find, John. You did put. I gotta be honest, that was a lot closer than I thought. As soon as
Closer
was
than
like,
I
oh, Steve was like, I've got a thing just after you made a good point. I was like, oh no. But alright, so we think, or should I say, Steve thinks, that Blake would win this fight. Do you agree in the comments? Do you think Morgana would win in the fight? Is there anything that we missed out that you think would play a big part? Get involved in the comments. We would love to chat to you all there. But we can't leave you from this fighting talk without telling you who's going to be in the next fighting talk. So next fighting talk, we are pitting against each other two British icons, and that is Sherlock Holmes versus James Bond. Oh yes.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you so much for tuning into this fighting talk. As I said earlier, get involved in the comments. We would love to hear it. We really want to hear from you from this. 'Cause
Unless your opinion's wrong.
So thanks again for watching, guys, and we will see you for some more fighting talk.
See you.